By the end of this, I'm unsure how long it's going to take video. You're going to learn some things about a schedule that you can follow on a daily basis if you're trying to get your body back to homeostasis. And this does not matter if you have a full time job or you don't have a full time job. I'm even going to tell you to quit your job if you do not like your job. Because if you have things to learn, then you have nothing to lose. And if you have nothing to lose, then you have things to learn. So, this PDF is going to be a breakdown of the 40-page PDF, which is giving you more of an action plan that you can follow on a daily basis. And remember, it's not what you see, it's what you know about what you see, because that's usually how you feel. We're all awake, alive today. We're all going to be doing something, but we're all going to be doing something unique to ourselves. So, the very first thing I'm going to go over is called like a 5% weekend, because the majority of people don't realize on a weekend you have 32 hours to put towards your dreams. You don't have to go out and drink. You don't have to go out and spend time with your friends. You don't have to go do all of these things that just pretty much promise yourself, hey, when I wake up on Monday, I'm going to go back and do the same thing I did last Monday, even though I don't want to do the same thing I did last Monday. So you'll be tested in ways you had no idea existed. You will also live a happier, healthy life that you are unaware of. Here's a quick schedule that will transform your life. Now, this is going to be hard for a lot of people. Wake up at 4 a.m., right? Start breathing. This is a spin off of the 40-page PDF, so this page should look familiar to you. So I'm not even going to even review it for you, because if you didn't watch the 40-page PDF and go through that one and watch those videos, go back and watch that, because everything that I'm about to explain in this video is not going to make sense to you. But that's just a breakdown of just a general synopsis of a day that you could live if you wanted to. But now, eyes closed, because we're always going to be starting at the end of a day. The end of our day is the beginning of our next day. What can we do tonight to secure a better day tomorrow? So look at that, and you're going to see the spelling errors here too live. Every one single night. So every single night is what I meant to say there. You're going to go to sleep and listen to these affirmation videos, which is like you need to realize that you ended up at a job you hate because you don't love yourself. And that's one of the hardest things, especially as a guy. We're not taught self love. We're not taught all this mindfulness. So when it comes into like loving yourself, it feels really weird. For instance, when I started listening to astrology books and they're like, you're a Pisces, you're at the end of the astrological scale. And it's like, wow, this is defining me. Like, I love creating and innovating things. And, there's no such thing as a wrong answer. Have an imagination. So, this is basically something that I was doing every single day for that entire year. So if you don't love yourself, you can disagree if you want. But the last person I taught this to ended up 3 days later coming in and saying that they are really unhappy, that they're angry. And I kind of told them that it was because they didn't love themselves and they realized that they ended up in a position where they weren't happy with their life. And if you're not happy with your life and you're not doing something about it, that's going to frustrate any intelligent person. So it's very common, an essential step for creating a life that you want to live. The reason you do these things is the fact that 95% of our mind is subconsciously driven. You can see that little comma period right there. And you have a 5% chance of change. So when you're awake in your day, you're living off of the 95% of your mind. That 95% of your mind may or may not be promoting a life of self love. So please consider using this affirmation link video here every single night. You do not have to use headphones. I've heard people are talking about using headphones, and headphones don't make sense. Like, your headphones are going to fall out of your ears when you sleep. So don't use headphones. Set it next to your bed. This is the part where if you have a partner, I hope your partner's on board with loving themselves, because if they're not, I'm not going to say that a male is going to be the first person to not want to do these things, but just being honest, a male is going to be the first person that's not going to want to do these things. So if you're a woman and you're listening and you have a partner and he's complaining at you for these things, you should consider reevaluating where you are in your life. So 1 year from now, you'll thank me. And it's based on the book Habits of a Happy Brain and the book called The One Thing, 45 to 63 days before you start experiencing some significant changes. Now, eyes open. Obviously, when we wake up in the morning, we're not always going to get up at the time that we wanted to get up. Some people are going to set an alarm for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Sometimes I'll be up at 4 and I'll have a lucid dream going on, and then I'll go back into my dream. So it is acceptable to wake up in a lucid dream and feel the urge to fall back into the dream world. You have to understand is that most people aren't going to wake up at 4 a.m. It took me a couple months to wake up at 4 a.m. It's not the easiest thing. The whole reason for waking up at 4 a.m. is genuinely when you start doing more things with your life and you have more people a part of your life. Let's say you're responsible for somebody else, you're responsible for a group of people. Waking up at 4 a.m. is the only time you're going to have enough time to yourself to be able to get anything done. So it's just a suggestion. You don't have to do it if you don't want to do it, but think about the rest of the world. They're getting up at 6, 7, 8, 9, sometimes way later in the day, especially on the weekends. People are sleeping in because they're programmed to go out, have fun, sleep in. Oh, it's the weekend. I sleep in. Think about these common phrases that people are repeating in their minds for no reason other than they were taught a thought and they're thinking it. So think what makes sense. Does it make sense to get up at 4 a.m.? To the average person, heck no. But when you start waking up really early in the morning, you realize that you can get a lot more done. Because when everyone else is awake, guess what? You're a human and you have to interact with each other. So this is the single most important part I added to my life. Realizing waking up before I had to go to work really left me with no time for myself. Like you got to think of the average schedule. People wake up and they're like, "Oh no, I need to go to work," or they wake up and they're late and they're just rushing through their day. They're not even waking up and giving anything to themselves. They're waking up in service to others, and then they're in service to others all day, and then the entire day is in service to others. So when that whole day is in service to others, how do you expect at any way, shape, or form to improve your life? So the reason that I'm telling people to wake up at 4 a.m. here is because we have a schedule to follow. And if we schedule and we follow this schedule every single day without deviating away from the schedule, it will work. But you have to follow it every single day for it to work. So this is your life, and I'm not the one that's living it. This is just something that I did that helped me change my life. Help me change my life. Sorry. So, anyways, ask yourself because you're the only one that knows the answer to this question. Should you be waking up earlier in a day? And please read through these PDFs. I'm just giving you a little bit of a synopsis of each page and mind moving. So now that we're awake, what are we going to do next as soon as we become conscious? Now, your affirmation videos are probably still playing. Maybe they ended. That video is 7 hours and some minutes. So if you're sleeping 8 hours, then that affirmation video is always ended. Now, mind moving. When you wake up, spend the first 5 to 10 minutes in your bed breathing and stretching, move around. It's very important to move your body and breathe air. If you read the book Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker, you're going to realize that some people are drinking caffeine before they go to bed. There's not enough oxygen cycling in your body. You can get an Aura ring to know your oxygen levels in your body, but you are not breathing as much air as you are normally breathing when you're awake, right? How many breaths do you take in the past 30 seconds? Probably don't know, you're unaware. Because I don't know, I'm unaware. Because I'm talking, I'm focusing. I'm not focusing on my breathing. So if you read the book Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker, this is going to explain sleeping to you. So when you wake up in the morning, moving and breathing air is just very important to add into your life. Now, why would we wake up and breathe? Well, because that book's going to explain it to you. It's just really, really basic. There's nothing crazy about it. But it says, I won't another you with a timer. Yeah. So there's the spelling errors. Y'all see them live, but I'll fix them. I won't annoy you with another timer, but you could set you in a really bad place and change for it fast. So set a timer on your phone for about 30 minutes, right? When you're awake, if you're genuinely trying to change your life and be more aware of the trajectory of your life, set a timer on your phone. When that timer goes off, you're going to then take a nice deep breath and remind yourself, okay, here's where I am. All right, where am I going? How do I get there? What do I got to do to get there? Do I have to do this? Do I have to do that? So, for instance, we would set an hour timer on here, and I'd be finished with this stuff in 1 hour exactly if I was time blocking, which you already got the books for time blocking. I hope you read those books because if you didn't read those books, then the things I'm telling you might not make as much sense as they should because these are all going to be spin offs and just deviations away from books that I've already read. So, this 30-minute timer is just to go off, to remind yourself to breathe, to say whether or not you're here and present. So when we wake up, most important takeaway here, breathe air, stretch, set your timer, and then guess what? We're going to start reading our books because it's read or be read. I can't tell you how many times when I first started to learn how to make my own money and be financially secure that I was missing information where I was like, oh, well, I called 20 people today. That's more people than I've ever called in my life. And then you read another book and it's like, oh, I'm delusional. And that's never going to make me successful. One person was interested. Oh, yeah, one person's interested. Awesome. Dopamine. And then realizing, oh, one person being interested doesn't matter at all. There's like hundreds of millions of them. Dang it. I severely underestimated the amount of work that it was going to take to get to where I wanted to be. So, if you haven't read the 40-page life reset, there is another marker right there that says go back and read this because this is going to give you book examples, mindfulness book examples, business book examples. The website has book examples. It has online income. It has the homeostasis diet page. There are plenty of books for you to start with and then realize sight is just light. Like if you don't, like if somebody tells you just off topic question, if somebody says I'm not interested, what do you say back? Well, yeah, I came prepared for you to not be interested, right? Or I wouldn't be interested either. You don't know me and I don't know you. Or I agree. We don't know each other. There's always some sort of response that you need to have if you're trying to do something where somebody's going to say something, there's an action reaction scenario, but it becomes action response. So reading is going to help you from going from the reacting phase to the response phase, where like you actually don't know what to say in a situation. When you learn what to say in a situation, that's when everything changes, because if you genuinely don't know, you don't know. Like I know what I know and I know what I don't know and I know I don't know a lot of things, but I know the things that I know and I speak on the things that I know. That's why I create PDFs. I know how to read and I know the importance of reading. So that's why I'm telling you to read. So right here is an example of right here is an example that if you put energy into time, you can create the space you want. Guess what? I'm sitting in a coffee shop and it took me 2 hours to create this entire PDF. Doubt it? Read 400 books in a year and tell me you didn't solve you tell me that you didn't solve majority of the problems that you thought you had. You will learn that the problems are your problems because you created them. Your problems are your problems. You created them, and only you can solve them. Once you understand that, everything you have ever wanted in this world is finally yours to have. And that's the biggest thing that I never realized. Like when I was depressed, playing video games all day, living in the basement, guess who created that environment? This person. Guess who solved that problem that they did not want to have? This person. So that's where you realize that nobody's coming to save you and solve your problems. There's other people that show up on a daily basis that have things that can help you. And this is why I create these PDFs. I have more free resources in a bigger program that's cheaper than about 99% of the people on the internet. Because I know for a fact it's not the money that's stopping you 90% of the time. It's the fact that you're just comfortable where you are. And when you read these books, they make you feel uncomfortable. They invalidate your existence. They tell you that what you're doing is not good enough. And everybody wants to get by at the bare minimum. So, right here, take away from this page, your job after you wake up in the morning, you breathe air, you stretch, you shut off your affirmations, you start your timer on your watch, is to start playing a book and educating yourselves. By now it's 4:30 in the morning. So 4:30 in the morning, you've just started a book. On to the next page. Talk to your doctor, talk to your PCP, talk to somebody that is much smarter than me. But glycogen store no more. Remember the phrase, wake up, don't eat, let your glycogen deplete. Now, this is something that I did. So, for instance, waking up in the morning, getting into biking. I thought I turned my sound off over here. Apparently, I didn't. Sorry, TikTok. People are commenting. I need to turn those off completely. So, cancel. Now, right here's the most important part of the PDF. If you're genuinely trying to change your life in an accelerated rate, then I highly suggest talking to somebody that knows about fasting. That's why I say talk to your doctor, talk to your PCP, talk to somebody who's much smarter than me. Talk to your drug operating center or your primary creator of prescription, because I'm sure they're going to be able to understand fasting and it's totally going to be something useful for you. Assuming that you're interested in neurogenesis, which is the birth of new brain cells in your memory and learning center. So whenever you're reading more books, you're actually generating more brain cells to learn more information. You're generating brain-derived neurotropic factor, which is considered miracle growth for your brain. The neuroplasticity, which is what you get from shifting. It's called intermetabolic switching. When you're going from your carbs and sugar stores, wake up, don't eat, let your glycogen deplete, you switch over into your ketones. You're now operating through a system called intermetabolic switching. For a lot of people, that's kind of hard, but there's some other things like B5, magnesium, green tea, a whole bunch of other things on the 24-page paper of healthy foods and the 40-page PDF that goes over 3 different pages of fasting that I reviewed for you. And I will review again because that's snipped into 2 videos. So the 2 videos up above will be compartmentalized into 1 video here shortly. Now, this right here is just, it's important because you're cleaning out beta amyloid plaque in your brain. So remember, the 40-page PDF goes over the autophagy, goes over neurogenesis, goes over neuroplasticity. It explains the things that you need to be aware of whenever you're deciding to do this or not. So the reasons I was fasting is because the difference that you feel in cognition is extremely notable. You will tell the difference between eating in the morning and having a bunch of sugar, and once your glycogen stores deplete, you feel like you're running on speed. So this is like that runner's high, like 2.1 times mitochondrial functioning due to the fact that you're running on ketones, a cleaner fuel source. You're not initiating glycation in your body, so you're not binding your sugars to bodily proteins, rendering them dysfunctional and useless and unable to be removed with routine repair. So fasting, find out if it's right for you. But when I would wake up in the morning, 4:30, I'd be heading out, and then here's exercise. So like now you start with movement. So get up, breathe some air, move in your bed, play your book, get outside, move your body. Stop just doing nothing. Because remember, most people they're waking up, they're rushing off to work. You didn't read, you didn't breathe, you didn't stretch, you didn't listen to affirmations when you slept at night, you didn't educate yourself on anything, you listened to music or the radio, and now you're at a place you don't want to be. Schmack smack. Time to wake up. If you're there, you can get out of there. Like there's ways out. So this goes back over the 40-page PDF. This talks about kind of just what I was doing exercise wise. I would bike for maybe an hour and a half. Because guess what? It's 4:30. You bike for an hour, it's 5:30. Let's say you work at 8. You still have 2.5 hours. So trust me, there's going to be plenty of time to do all of this. Because a lot of people say, well, I don't have time. Yeah, you do. You just don't know how to manage it because I never knew how to manage it. So if I have time, you have time. Trust me on that one. So this is going to go over like biking, walking, running, swimming. You obviously can't swim if you're listening to a book, so I don't suggest swimming and listening to books at the same time. But if you want to do that, I didn't give you the advice. Qigong, yoga, it really doesn't matter what you're doing as long as you're doing some form of exercise. For me, my favorite was biking because I could bike so hard that my legs would turn into jello, and I felt great after that. All right, so recapping on this glycogen store no more page, you're waking up. It's 4:30. You've already done a lot more than most people are going to do for themselves in the morning, and now it's time to go exercise. So right here, this is like where you have to really decide what you want to be doing with your life. So our main goal here is to increase neurogenesis, BDNF, and brain plasticity. So ridding our bodies of sugar stores, raising mitochondrial functioning. I'd bike for the next 2 hours and listen to a book on 2-speed from Audible. If you're wondering how I was reading a book a day, I quit my job and worked at a landscaping company. I'd start work at 8 a.m. I would have half a book finished by 8 a.m. I'd finish that book before lunch and I would start my next book around 2 p.m. I knew nothing and I wanted to learn everything, so I did. Do not waste your time driving a half hour to some place that you think is going to make you exercise better. And what I mean by that is stop going. Like if the gym is a half hour away, that's an hour of your life that you just wasted that you can technically justify not wasting by listening to a book if you drive, but it's much easier just to wake up, get on your bike, and go because it's all about time. You do not get time back. Time plus energy equals space. So where are you heading and how fast are you going to get there? Depends on what you're doing with your time. So you have to be aware of time, energy, and you're investing into space. If you invest energy and time correctly, you can change space. If you love where you are, then consider staying where you are. The only purpose here is to maximize the amount of time you spend in a day to improve your life. Boom. The 95%. Did you notice it yet? Did you notice that you were not actually consciously breathing? How many times did you blink in the past 30 seconds? What did I say 9 sentences ago? You see, you probably have to go look. This is where you learn one more step into time, energy, and space. Are you seeking the secrets or are the secrets seeking you? Remember, if you have nothing to lose, you have something to gain. If you have nothing to gain, you have something to lose. Take a second and think about that. Because there's a lot of people in this world that can't quit their job and go get a landscaping job and educate themselves for 3 or 4 years and then be wildly intelligent on a topic and come back to our society with, guns ablazing. That's what I did, and you can do it too. So, how do I create all of these resources? It's because they've been floating around in my mind for years and years and years and years, and I was just too scared to speak on them. And now I'm not anymore. On to the next page. So, waiting in water. Obviously, we've woken up, we've breathed some air, we've shut out for affirmations, we started reading our book, we're exercising, and now we're back home. Please stop taking warm showers for like 20 minutes. That's a lot of time to spend in the shower. So, warm water, wash yourself off. There's a soap brand link right there because it's not always what you eat. It's the chemicals that are in your soap that you put on your body too, because your skin is an organ. So like, let me just rub toxins all over my body. Yeah, it's great. No, please stop doing that. So wash in less than 2 minutes. Why? Because you literally don't sweat all over. It's not hard to get in there and rub your body and wash yourself off. Very, very simple. And then we're going to jump over into something on the 40-page PDF. We introduce you to the Wim Hof method. Cold showers are going to suck. Majority of people are not going to like doing these, but that's why you should do them. If you do the things that nobody else likes to do, you're going to be in a better place in life when you get older. Because at the end of the day, if you don't do the things you don't like doing, then you're doing the things that you like to do, and eventually your life will get into the point where you like to do the things that you like to do. and then hopefully those things are good. But basically, I say here when I heard about cold showers, I said, "F that. That sounds terrible." I'm the first person to bundle up in a bunch of warm clothes before I go outside, and now I'll just wear shorts and a t-shirt in the dead of winter. Which moves us on to a recap. WTF are we doing? Let's recap. You woke up at 4 or 4:30 a.m. You took some extra air in, you stretched a little bit, you began to exercise for at least 1 hour, you took a shower, putting yourself in cold water. For me, it was around like 6:45 a.m. I worked at 8 a.m. I would continue to read my book and I would head over to the yard. We all meet up at the yard, we'd get things ready, and I'd go dig holes. I'd head over to the yard. This is where we got everything together for work that day. Now, by 4 a.m. to 8 a.m., you've only lost about 20 minutes of reading time, which is like where you meet in like the beginning, they talk about some stuff, and then you just go back to your book in zombie mode. Because if you have things to gain, then you have nothing to lose. So then you can leave the job that you don't like. But if you have like a family, kids, you have other people that you're responsible for, you can't just quit the job that you have and go get another job. So realize that some people have the ability to take advantage of the things that they need. So if you're one of those people, then I highly suggest taking advantage of those things. So now, for instance, this means your average 8 hour book on two speed is only going to take you around 4 hours. This is the part where you realize, oh shit, reading two books a day is possible. It's the part where you learn that I have been reading two books a day instead of one book a day. I really didn't think people would believe that I was reading two books a day, so I just started telling people that I read one book a day. Because when you ease people into a new idea, you can't just be like, "Yeah, I've been reading two books a day for an entire year," and then they're like, "Wait a minute, how do you do that?" And it's like, well, it's really simple. You just reprogram their brain, and then you can literally read books faster, so your thoughts move faster. So this is where it all starts to add together: the increased neuronal functioning, the neurogenesis, the neuroplasticity, the brain-derived neurotropic factor. You literally can do whatever you want to do. Just like you can learn language, you can learn language, you've already learned faster. Why would you not be able to think about your thoughts faster? It's a little bit useful. So like the average conversation you have with a person is really slow. The average thinking in a person's mind, guess what? Stop talking right now and think to yourself. How fast does that voice inside of your mind move? Imagine if that voice inside of your mind can move faster and process thoughts faster. It's like improving the processor on your computer. So yeah, you're going to be able to read two books a day. No excuse. You wake up at 4 a.m. It's very simple because guess what? We're going to continue to teach even more inside of this. Now, this is where you literally generate so much energy through time that changing space is a joke. You will make it where you want to be, but I promise you, when you get there, you won't feel any different than you do now. That's the biggest takeaway. You only think you want something because you do not have that something. Dopamine, you're achieving some sort of something, and then when you get there, you resonate, and then your dopamine doesn't spike anymore because you're there. Like your first $3,000 check, your first 5,000, $10,000 win, awesome. Guess what? Your next one's going to feel a little bit less, a little bit less, a little bit less, a little bit less, and that's going to feel like you've been doing that all along. Now, you have to simply enjoy what you do. You will simply enjoy what you're doing more. So you really need to focus on finding something that you truly love, or you'll give up. Like, no one's gonna outwork me because I love what I do. Period. I wake up every single day loving exactly what I'm doing, and I will do this every single day for the next 10 years minimum, every single day, all day long. So if you don't love what you do, then consider being outworked by somebody who does love what they're doing. For instance, so now we're going into this. So someone who is more passionate will always outwork you. For instance, it's 9 a.m. We started writing this at 8 a.m. Oh yeah, I started writing this at 8 a.m. No one will outwork me because I love what I do and I will do this until I die. Forever and ever I will continue to give to others without expecting anything in return except for the computing effect. See, look, yeah, yeah. Except for the compound effect for you to change others in this world. I changed your life. Now it's your turn to change somebody else's. So if you don't take a chance in the world seeing something in the world for you, that's sorry. What's up, Jacob? How you doing? So if you don't take a chance, what is this? I've spelled this wrong, so that's why I can't even read this. If you don't change the world, someone else is going to change the world for you. So think about that for a second. Do you want to live the life that someone else created, or the life that you created? You choose, or let it be chosen for you. And it's like, oh shit, did I just? Oh yeah, sorry. You choose, or let the choice be chosen for you. And it's like, oh shit, did I use the same word in the sentence in all different ways in the same sentence? Like nothing matters because matter can't matter unless it matters to you. See that? Use the same word 4 times in a sentence. Like that stuff makes sense. Work harder or you're hardly working. So now, holy shit, it's 9 a.m., Batman. So congratulations. You've woken up in the morning, you've exercised, you've learned a book, you've breathed air, you've moved around, you had your affirmations playing, you got ready for work, you showed up early. And this is the fun stuff here. Like you'll learn there's certain phrases that are out there in the world. Like time flies when you're having fun. Yeah, it's called dopamine. Yeah, yeah. Time is slow when your dopamine's low, and time flies when you're having fun because you're releasing dopamine. And that's talking about removing the subjective sense of time. So at 9 a.m., I'd be pretty much arriving to my job site. I'd continue to play my book, and I would ignore everyone around me. just because I really didn't like wasn't there to be friends with anyone. I was there to get a job done and move on with my life. So you got to remember, it's not what you see, it's what you know about what you see. You see a bunch of people doing some things, you might want to go talk to them. That's great. But is that where you want to be right now? Is that the space that you absolutely want to be in? And if it is, go conversate, go do those things, go spend your time with them. And congratulations, you're just once again sealing your fate that the next day you'll be doing the same things. So change your perspective is the only way you can improve perspectives to understand the way way you see the world can be seen differently. You're going to do something today, and I ask yourself to ask what you're going to do. What is that something that you're going to do today? What does it add up to tomorrow? I bet it is because you believe that you're doing something that's really important to you. That's why people would go to lunch with their coworkers. That's why people would do anything that they do is because they believe it's important to them. So now this is where I'm going to tell you a little bit of my change. So I had nothing to lose. I was working a night shift job as a grocery and I hated it. Overworked and underpaid for 40K a year. I met a person that owned a landscaping company. I got offered a job making the same amount of money, which was a simple choice for me. Now, for many, this might not be as simple. This is why I prefaced if you have nothing to lose, if you have nothing to lose, this will work for you because it worked for me. The amount of knowledge you will obtain in a day is what matters most. For instance, there's groups of people at the coffee shop near me talking about life instead of working hard and making it better, right? Complaining about things that they can solve themselves. There's nothing wrong with sitting in groups, but remember this: closest five people to you are who you are. They define everything about you and who you'll become. Notice the people you went to college with together are usually friends with each other. They do the same things with each other. They think the same way. Pretty much they're the same person because you're looking for yourself in other people. Like if you like exercising and somebody doesn't like exercising, do you think that you guys are going to be extremely compatible? High likelihood of no. If somebody's really into health and somebody's really not into health, do you think you're going to be compatible? No. So it's really just understanding like where does compatibility, where can you find resonance, and what are the ways to improve your life as fast as possible. So this is where you really ask yourself, like, do I love my job? Can I do something else? Because a majority of people will not do something else. Like, you want to become an entrepreneur? Sick, great. You might have to get some job that you hate for a few years so you can grind on your business and get to where you want to be, because that's all it is. You got to do a lot of things you don't want to do to get to where you want to be, but the sooner you do those things you don't want to do, the sooner you get to where you want to be, and it's like you've been there all along. Seriously. I remember back in the day not understanding anything. And now it's like, oh, like I had a conversation with a guy yesterday. I was talking about gut health, fasting, OMAD, and there wasn't a single statement that he made that I couldn't just sit there and just spew information on the topic about. I'm like, oh, yeah, yeah. You're doing OMAD. I was like, you probably struggle getting your amino acids in a day. And he's like, yeah, I do. And I was like, yeah, how do you know? Did you get a test? And he's like, I did get a test. And I was like, well, that's great. So you're going to be able to resonate with other people who are into the similar things that you're into. But guess what? Read about like 2, 3, 400 books. Then you're going to be able to understand something called an interface. If you're not able to interface with other people, then they're just going to go around the world like a jelly and do jelly things. They're not going to really think about what they're doing in the 10-year down the road, what's actually going to happen. So I apologize in advance for the extra sounds here. Shared office space currently. But moving on to the next one, meditate and medicate. Okay. One letter is literally the difference between life and death. If you want to earn something in life, you have to learn something in life. So you take the L off your forehead and you go earn the life that you've always wanted to live. And then congratulations, you're living the life that you always wanted to live. I really hope it was the life that you wanted, because you only get so many shots at this before you're old, hopefully not walking around with cane. So meditate, medicate. One letter, life or death. Lunchtime would roll around, and this was the game changer. Majority of people, right? So let's recap. You woke up, you've done a lot of things that nobody's going to do in that day. Nobody's waking up in the morning trying to read a book. People are waking up in the morning trying to go to work, to get work done, to go to lunch, to go back to work, to get off work, to go to do whatever. So if you are fasting, if you took the advice from your doctor or your PCP, somebody smarter than me, you're fasting. So now you're not eating over your lunch period. If you have a normal traditional job, you have an hour for lunch. That hour is now going to be replaced with meditation, because once again, we want to increase our neuroplasticity. We want to allow ourselves to have the most plastic brain possible to be able to produce the most amount of change based on the energy that we're putting in time to create a new space. Did you get all that, Batman? But this is like the big game changer. So 11 a.m. every single day, everybody would go to lunch and I would just sit down and meditate. And I would do that every single day. This is an entire year reset right here for you. So every single day, no excuses. 11 a.m. to 12, meditate. Like, why? You'll understand when you can start to read books at a faster speed. It's not very hard. Anybody can do it if they put the time and effort in. Remember, time and energy equals space. You can create whatever you want to do. On the 40-page life reset, which is once again the 40-page PDF that I really hope you already downloaded and read and learned from and hopefully took some notes from. This is the spin-off of it where I tell people, hey, here's the average day that most people are not going to do. And if you don't do this average day, then you are going to be below average because you're waking up into a place that you don't even want to be. You're literally waking up and spending time in a space that has the absolute opposite of the energy that you want to be resonating with on a daily basis. You want to write a book, write a book. You want to go exercise, go exercise. You want to live the life that you want to live that you're living right now, then you better live it, or you're never going to be able to live it. Make sense? So this is where meditation for 1 hour is going to do. Sorry, meditation for 1 hour is what we're both going to do because this is a life changer. Transitioning from one book to another is helping yourself compartmentalize everything you've learned is key. So I was finishing my book before 11 a.m. One book I have finished before 11 a.m. And then that meditation right there, after you go through all of the thoughts that you have and you start to figure things out for yourself and you're not worried and stressed anymore. My massive action alarm went off right here. We're taking some massive action. But after you've gone through all of the thoughts that you have and you're happy, when you read these books, that meditation is you recompartmentalizing everything that you learned, how the things that you learned can be introduced into your life. And then, based on that ability to once again have more of an interface, energy, light, it's not what you see, it's what you know about what you see, because that's how you feel. You've just learned some new things. So now you can change the way that you feel about the world that you're living in. Sorry, my ear's itchy. So now the meditating for this specifically is you compartmentalizing all of that information. And then guess what? When everyone else gets back from lunch, boop, boop, book number 2. I'm not even kidding either. Like, time, energy equals space. Tattoo. The space you're in is equal to the energy you have that explains the mass in the universe, and that mass can only be positive, negative, or neutral. You want a positive, negative, or neutral life? Well, then identify with that type of mass, and by general default, you will start to receive that energy, and that's the space that you live in. So meditation is probably one of the most important things to add in your life for several reasons. People are stressed as F. Like, most people react instead of respond. They respond off of some information that someone else taught them rather than, or they react off of some information that someone else previously taught them versus responding off of information that they have taught themselves. So those usually don't work. Meditation is going to allow you to go inside of your own thoughts and find out which ones actually work for you. I spent 3 years for this hour, and I went through everything that happened in my life and how it affected me here and now. Your thoughts define you. Which ones are you thinking? The real question is, which ones are you not thinking and why? Boom. All right, so next page, pause. So this back to work right here is when we talk like FYL, yeah, F your life. It's either good or bad, and only you could do something about it. Lunchtime is over and everyone's back. Now what are you going to do? You're going to put in that next book and continue to learn. Learning equal earning. You have to earn the life that you want to live or you never get a chance to live it. Make sense? Hard work equal you can do anything that you've ever wanted to do in this world. It's just time, energy, and space. You choose where you want to be. And it's funny, I actually didn't go to this next PDF, so I'm just going to repeat myself here. And it talks about the SEMC3 tattoo. The space you're in is equal to the energy you have. That explains the mass in the universe, and that mass can only be positive, negative, or neutral. You have to reverse engineer the life that you want to be living, and you will understand exactly how to get there. Want a positive life? Start identifying with positive energy, and you will project that, and that will project onto you, to the mass in the universe. And by default, it will become positive. I literally used to be the most negative human being that like would argue with the first person because I knew that I was a little bit smarter in some cases and because I just genuinely learned more. And I would argue with people. And I was like, yeah, you're basically, oh, Dunning-Kruger effect, delusions of grandeur. But then in reality, you realize that there's no actual value in arguing with that person. Some wars aren't worth fighting. And if there is a war worth fighting, then you better have a strategy going into that war in the first place to be able to win it, or you just spend a bunch of time and energy in a black hole and went nowhere. Make sense? So remember, time plus energy equals space. You can go anywhere. You just have to put in the effort. Now, free doom, you're done working, right? So like you're free. Are you free to be doomed? Or are you freedom? Is it freedom or is it free doom? Because, well, basically most people that get off work, unfortunately, don't do anything. And I used to be one of them. I used to get off work, go to the gym, and either try to sleep with girls or play video games. That was all I did with my life. Now I don't have like a work-life balance. I do the same things I love all day long, unapologetically, and I will continue to do those until I die. So now your workday's coming to an end. What's next? No matter if your day ends around 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m., your next goal is to go exercise. Find something that involves movement. And the reason for this, I'm just going to give you the synopsis over here. You have to think to yourself, what is the most important thing that you can do next? Doesn't matter if you want to do it or not. What is the most important thing that you could be doing next? Now go do it. So this is where a lot of people you'll learn from, like Tony Robbins, for instance. He would work 8 hours and then he'd work 8 hours again. Most people are not going to put in the time and effort to create the space that they want to be in. There's no excuses. You want to sleep 6 hours a night? Awesome. What are you going to do with all the other hours in your day? 16 hours of work. Guess what? 6 hours of sleep. What's the math there? 22 hours. You still got 4 more hours left, or 2 more hours left. You have plenty of time in the day to achieve your goals. You just don't want to achieve your goals. And that becomes a neurofeedback loop where we want to do better, but you know what? That new show came on. All my friends watch that new show, and we're going to watch that new show together. No, completely no. Disregard all of the things that prevent you from getting to where you want to be, and you'll get to where you want to be a lot faster. So I had to ask myself sometimes while sitting in a coffee shop all alone if this was worth it. Like, was it worth it to really just kind of become an anomaly and I don't know, like a human whatever, maybe a human computer of some sort? I don't know. I just know where I was and I know where I am now, and I'm very happy to be where I am now. And I was not friends with myself for like 20 some years of my life, and I ended up in very bad places because I didn't love myself. So that alone is a driving force. Knowing that you didn't love yourself, now you have the opportunity to love yourself is insane. So I'd ask myself while sitting in a coffee shop all alone if this was worth it. I miss having useless connections that made me laugh about things that were actually useless, like Game of Thrones. Sorry, useless, but fun. Yeah, of course. Like talking about things that is enjoyable makes you laugh, makes you feel good. You release neurochemicals that feel good, and it feels great. So I also realized that. Sorry, I'm reading this. I also realized that if that I was all I was going to do with my life, and I was going to become nothing and be a nobody. Now I am something to somebody, which is was the goal of mine, like just to be something to somebody, a beacon of light for all those who seek to better themselves. It's not easy, so go F and grind, or realize when you're old, WTF did you do with your entire life? The answer is nothing, because that's what I did literally all day long. I would, I hated, I actually hated what I did. Like I didn't even like it at all. I only did it because it paid the bills. Like I worked at a forms and surface company, literally wearing a respirator because we were in this fine dust place cleaning these panels with chemicals. Like I freaking hated it. And I actually quit that job with a rock, paper, scissors bet because one guy was like, "Why are you working here? You're smart." And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "It's more money than I've ever had in my life." And boom, guess what? Money attracted me like a fly to a light. So, yeah, freedom. What are you doing after you get off work? It's a very big question because are you going to do what everyone else does and go out, eat some food, spend some money? Or are you literally going to run your first advertisement and invest in yourself so people start knowing who you are? If they don't know you, guess what? They can't buy from you. Moving on. So, food for thought. Now, it's really important when it comes to eating. So, now not only we have our new daily schedule in the morning, we have our exercises, we got our breathing, we got our books, we got our meditating in, we exercised again. Now we're going to get into food. Eat shit, become shit. It's very, very simple. I used to eat shit, I was shit. So now an important part becomes eating. What are you going to choose to eat? This is why we have the 50 brain cell challenge. This is why we have the 24-page paper of healthy foods. This is why we have the 40-page PDF. This is why we have the 30-day vegan detox meal plan. So you have well over 100 and some pages to help you understand the foods that you need to eat. And if you really want to diet, you can get a diet from our dietitian. Sorry, you can get a diet from our diet plan. You can get a diet from our gut restoration dietitian. You can go as far as genetics, gut microbiome, blood. We just found a nurse practitioner that's going to be able to order us some tests that our other person couldn't do. So it's actually great. Now, with this regimen, I actually just give you what I eat. So this is one thing that I would have. So my first meal, some apple cider vinegar with water, and that's just due to acidity content in your gut. So sometimes skip the psyllium husk and make the shake to consume water. So apple cider vinegar, psyllium, and water, and I would just drink that to start off with my meals. Now, it sounds gross, but it's because it is. It's not meant for everybody. Like, not everybody wants to eat certain foods. They'd rather have pizza. So this is where you really realize, like, do I actually care about what's going to happen when I get older? Because I can guarantee you, every person that gets older that like has some sort of self consciousness, they realize they're like, oh, dang, I need to take care of myself. I feel really bad, and it's going to get worse as you get older. Gary's a perfect example. He's 60. He's like, I feel better than I did when I was 30. I'm 32. That hits me hard. I'm like, whoa. I'm going to continue to take care of myself because I'm going to get older. So right here is like 1 serving of flax seeds, 2 servings of oat milk, 5 grams of cocoa powder, 5 grams of psyllium husk, 1 gram of cinnamon, 1 gram of ginger, 1 gram of turmeric, a little bit of black pepper, and then a meal replacement amino shake, a multivitamin with a powder, break up in the plastic, put it in the blender. And the main reason here is because I'm going to spike my glucose and I'm going to be able to get a good deal of dietary fiber because high levels of blood sugar, anxiety, high levels of blood sugar, lower brain derived neurotropic factor. It's very important to understand your blood sugar spikes. And if you want to go as crazy as possible, you can even get a continuous glucose monitor. Now, you really have to understand that we spend a majority of our lives being fed shit. There's literally a lawsuit right now for Skittles. There's a lawsuit for a candy. Taste the rainbow? No, 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 no. Taste ADHD, taste depression, taste anxiety, taste lower brain derived neurotropic factor, taste lower levels of neurogenesis, taste lower levels of neuronal plasticity, taste the formation of beta amyloid plaques, taste glycation, taste AGEs, and I'll continue all day long if you'd like me to, but I'm not going to. So if you're over the age of 30, your parents did not have access to the information that we have access to now. The world was not connected in the way which it is connected now, which is why we ate all these bad foods. Everybody that is struggling in life, probably the generation that's struggling the most is the one that grew up where the internet started to become a thing. And they're like, oh, wait, these things are bad. And now this mass awakening of information is happening. So everybody is losing their crap. Everybody is becoming spiritually awoken. And in reality, it's like, no, you're just finally realizing that you have access to information that you didn't have access to before. And it's blowing your mind that you don't have to suffer. So, spiritual awakening, more like information overload for the average human being to the point where most have not compartmentalized and spent like 3 or 4 years to really decipher through what's right and wrong. And that's even the whole reason I joined TikTok is because I was like, well, a lot of people say a lot of stuff that doesn't really make any sense. It's kind of like they read them one little article and then they're like, yeah, I read this article and it's like all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, you missed this, and this. But it's okay. Nobody's going to know because nobody else has read those things. So they believe you too. But when you're looking at this, like life only gets better when you want it to. Like you literally have to be the person that makes your life better. And this is where eating healthy is going to cause problems in your social life. It's going to cause problems in your family. It's going to cause problems in your relationship. But guess what? If it's causing problems, then you're not where you're supposed to be. The space you're in is the wrong energy that you have ended up through in time by not being aware of where you're spending your energy in the space that you're ending up in. So everyone drinks on the weekends. You don't drink on the weekends. You're going to need to find some new friends. Most of the people you grew up with became your friends only because you lived somewhat of the same life. And this is like, is this the life that you want to be living? If so, live it. Live it up until it tears you down. So now you have plenty of resources for food. I'm going to pummel your brain with more information than what is already being presented to you. Your life sucks. My words, your choices. Next. So now a recap. It's that time again. Now let's recap. How many breaths did you take in the past 45 seconds? How many times did you blink? What was the title on page 5 of this PDF? You see once again, once again, if you ask specifics, you will actually not remember. But check this out. Fill in the blanks. 50 brain blank blank blank, which is 50 brain cell challenge, just in case you're like wondering. I think that was an easy one. But you see it's easy because you've seen it before. Therefore, you can recall the information when you need it. If you don't need something, there's a great chance you won't remember it. If you need something, there is a great chance that you will remember it. You started playing a book when you woke up. You stretched, you breathed air, you exercised, you finished a half a book. You finished a book, you head off to your job. I hope you have your ears free. You finished your first book by lunchtime. You are going to find the right place to meditate. You're going back to work, maybe listening to a book. Remember here that if you have nothing to lose, then I highly consider you to obtain a job with that is physical, so you can get paid for getting healthy and learning. You're killing two birds with one stone, which is the most important part. Now our workday comes to an end. This is where you can add one layer of exercise in the morning beyond just cardio. There is no way you didn't finish your first book today. There is literally no way you did not finish your first book today. It is nearly impossible if you're reading this book's here. So I gotta fix that. See, spelling errors. I'm totally good at making spelling errors. Gravy, right? But anyways, boom, bedtime. So I'm gonna finish that recap right there. Bedtime. And the finishing on that recap is like, okay, you meditated, you ate food, now you're gonna decide whether or not, like, what are you gonna do before bed? If you for me, what I was doing before bed is after the gym, I would only listen to music at the gym as like a reward system. And then after that, I would eat, and then after I'd eat, I would just go back to reading just so I could get ahead of the next book for the next day. So if you read the book that is referenced, you'll be able to understand the importance of sleeping. You know now that you're not supposed to be playing video games all day and eating crap before you go to bed. This is bad for your belly, which is bad for your brain. Bigger the belly, the smaller the brain. Mind your gut, keep your mind. Light is bad for your brain because you're going to be tricking the body into be staying awake. So like when the sun goes down, go to bed. Like we have the perfect schedule out here. Sun starts coming up around like 5 something. Sun starts going around like 9. So it's perfect timing to go to bed with natural light and wake up with natural light. I genuinely follow the sun. Get up before the sun, and that's a successful day. Before bed, consider spending an hour reading a book, relaxing, laying down, recapping your day, and writing out a list of things you need to be able to do tomorrow. Set out your clothes or sleep in your clothes. I slept in my clothes. It's just easier. People think it's weird, but whatever. I don't want when I wake up in the morning. Last thing I'm worried about is what kind of sock I'm going to put on. That's why majority of the time my socks are inside out or I have like different socks on because I'm just genuinely not concerned. Like, oh, my socks are a different color. Great. Now start this process over and over and over again. And if you still have questions, I have answers because I created these. So feel free to join the Discord group. Feel free to shoot me a message on Instagram. If you message me on TikTok, there's like a 99% chance I'm not going to get it based on the number of messages that I get on a daily basis. It's just a little bit overwhelming. So affirmations when you sleep, stretching and breathing air in the morning, books, exercise during, read. Obviously, don't swim. Swimming and listening to headphones, probably not the best thing to do. I don't know what it feels like. I've never tried it, so please don't do it. Shower, warm shower to cold shower. Work, get your work done. Listen to your books. Meditate on your lunchtime. Exercise if you want after work. Play and work on your dreams. And then, hey, look at that. Perfect timing. Exactly 1 hour of allotted time for this PDF. That's how good you're going to be able to get at the time that you're spending in a day. Can't make that stuff up. So want a custom schedule for your life? Too bad. JK, book a call on the website, have a conversation. I'm here to help you live a better life, and that's what I do with my life. And that is the end of the PDF right there, which is the reset button, guaranteed life alteration. It's probably the cheapest program on the internet. We got a personal trainer that's joining us that's a male. We got a personal trainer that's joining us a female. We got a psychotherapist. We got a mindset coach. We got myself. We got an e-commerce coach. We got a gut restoration dietitian. And I'm going to be finding a bunch of other people in the future. So take advantage now before prices go up. And I don't really ever think the prices are going to go up because that just doesn't really make sense to me. So hope everybody has a beautiful day. Thank you so much for listening to this PDF, and I will see you in the next video down below.